Happy 2023 to everybody. This is Charlie with Ranger Auto. We're doing fuel injectors on a 94 Dodge Ram 1500 with the 5.2. And I'll show you where I'm at so far. Alright, first thing you got to do is pull your fuel pump relay. And then this system's got a Schrader valve on it. So you got to push the Schrader valve and get all the fuel out of it. At least depressurize the pump. Then, to get the driver's side loose, you got to pull your throttle position sensor and your idle air control motor. Pull those off. Your injector wires come off. They're pretty easy on this truck. All I had to do is just wiggle them and pull, and they came right off. They look like they should be the kind that's got the little metal retainers on it, and if they do, you just squeeze and pull on those. Those of you that have like foreign cars, you know what I'm talking about there. All right, then you got your bolt there and your bolt there. Those are 1/2 inch. And then your bolt here and your bolt here, those are 1/2 inch. I'll show you the fuel rail in a second. In order to get the passenger side loose, you got to pull the throttle body off. So I just disconnected it from here, threw it over there. I unhooked. I took the two 8mm bolts out here and the one in the back that holds the cable bracket. I'm not going to go through and screw with these cables because here in a minute it's going to all go back on. Then you take a crowbar. You can see my marks here. Crowbar, pry up on it, pops it loose, and then you just wiggle it. Lift up as you wiggle, and it'll pop the back ones out. Same thing on the other side. On this side, though, I had to get underneath the intake on this bolt hole and just kind of pry up on it a little bit while wiggling it. Popped it right out. So we got our fuel rail out. Of course, to get it off the fuel line, you got to pull your quick connector here. And then as you see inside there, it's just a snap in. So if there's an O-ring or anything in there, make sure that it goes back in, that you didn't lose it. Some of these didn't have O-rings in them. So whatever you see in there, as long as it didn't leak, you'll be good to go. All right, so let's go over here to our bench. I'll show you what we got. This is our fuel rail. It's turned upside down. Of course, this is your fuel fitting right here. Your Schrader valves down there. And then here's your injectors. As you can see, these are pretty crusty. Yes, sir. These suckers are... I'm surprised the truck even runs at all with these injectors in it. I don't think you can see it very well, but you can see where the ports are for the injection. We got some dirty ones in here. So this one here looks like it was pretty much stopped up. So the reason we're changing the injectors on this truck is because he's got poor performance issues. He says when he stomps on it, it doesn't go. So we've done everything else on this truck. We've changed the fuel pump on it. We've changed the ignition system on it. Some hack shop over on the other side of town did the computer system in it. So, you know, we got our bolts laid out here. The long bolts are from the throttle body. These short bolts here, those are from the fuel rail. And then there are little mini bolts. These are the 8s. Those go in the cable brackets. I'm going to show you real quick how these come out. I've taken 3 of the clips off already. So what you want to do is you want to take a screwdriver, stick it down inside that crack right there, right down inside that slot, and just pry back on it. Just nice and easy. Popped right off. Take your bracket, stuff it over there. Leak gas everywhere on the ground. That's fine because we got rain tomorrow, so it'll all wash off. It's not a big deal to me. And then I assume, I don't know if I can do this one-handed, but we're going to give it a good old try. Twist, break the seal loose on the injector, and then pull straight up. And I can't seem to do that with this. So let me see if I can set my phone in a nice good spot here where you can get a good view of everything. Alright, I think you can see it. Alright, so I'm going to put our injector in frame. We're going to just kind of wiggle it back and forth. And it should come right out. Like that. We have our injector. Okay, quick thing of note. when you go to put these back in, notice it's got O-rings on each end. You want to get you some grease. I brought out my Walmart special here. You're going to take a little bit of that and you're going to put it right around the new O-rings. I'll show you on one of the new injectors here what we're talking about. Customer got these injectors from 1A Auto, not a sponsor. He got these because apparently O'Reilly's weren't good enough. Don't really know. O'Reilly also not a sponsor. I'll show you what your new injectors are going to look like here. This is your new injector. Underneath those plastic caps is your rubber O-ring. If they don't come pre-greased, you want to grease them. You want to take a rag and clean out the inside of your ports. Push these in. Sometimes they'll snap, sometimes they won't. Very important. Pay attention to the direction of that plug. I've inserted injectors before where the plug was facing the wrong way. You twist them to set them the right way, and the damn thing leaks. So make sure that once you push this in, it's one and done. I would recommend before you did the new ones, you pull the old ones out on one side, put the new ones in, put the clips back on, and then start the other side. This is what a side looks like that's not been touched. Okay, we're back. I've got one side done on this fuel rail, and this one was really hard to get out. This one and these two are really easy. They just pulled straight out. Let me show you what it looks like when you get one out. See, these are the original injectors for this truck. You got a part number on one side. It's got a Pentastar on it, so that's your part number. If you go to Dodge, you want to give them that part number, and they should be able to get you OEM injectors if you don't want to use aftermarket. Same thing we just took out. One little side note. Use your grease on your O-ring. Now these O-rings are going to be, you're going to think they might be oversized, but they're not. What's going to happen is you're going to have to take your finger, and while you're pushing down with one hand, take your finger and push in on the O-ring with the other hand, because as you've seen in the earlier in the video where the lip is, these go into, they tend to want to push up, and that's when you rip your boots, or you rip your O-ring. So you put your grease on there. You can use anything, brake grease, you can use petroleum jelly, you can use, they make special grease for fuel injector O-rings. If you like work on Toyotas, Toyota does that. It doesn't matter what you use, just as long as it's non-flammable, basically. And then you put those back down, and then these snap in. These will snap down. You'll hear an audible snap, okay? But you want to pay attention to this groove right here. You see this groove right here? That's where those clips slide into. So when you go to put your clips on, you got that little piece right there that attaches to the lip, and then you got your lock that goes up on here. So what you want to do is on a couple of these, you can just kind of wiggle them a little bit to lift them up a little higher, and then these will snap on like they did on this side. And then you want to check your orientation of your connectors so that when this goes back down, you just sit it back down there and clamp it back together. So now I'm going to do this side. We'll get this thing done, and